Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to part 2 of this very interesting story of the demise of Uthman, the third Caliph of Islam. So I'm just going to continue, and here we go. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. After this very event, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam advised Uthman, saying, "You should openly offer repentance about your past misdeeds so that these uprisings should subside for good. Otherwise, if tomorrow the people of some other places come here, you will again cling to my neck to rid you of them." Always asking him for advice. What do I do in this situation? What do I do in that situation? Yeah, so it's kind of annoying for Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, right? Anyways, it continues. Consequently, Uthman delivered a speech at the Prophet's mosque wherein he admitted his mistakes, offering repentance and swearing to remain careful in the future. He told the people, as he was stepping down the pulpit, that their representatives should meet them, and that he would remove their grievances and meet their demands. On this, people acclaimed his deed and washed their ill feelings away with abundant tears. When Uthman reached his mansion, Marwan sought permission to say something, but Uthman's wife, Na'aliya, daughter of Karafisa, intervened. Turning to Marwan, she said, "For Allah's sake, you should keep quiet. You will surely say only such a thing as will bring nothing but death to him." Marwan felt offended and retorted, "You have no right to interfere in these matters. You are the daughter of that very person who did not know till his death how to perform his ablution." Na'aliya replied with fury, "You are wrong and are laying a false blame. Before uttering anything about my father, you should have cast a glance at the features of your own father. Had it not been for my consideration for that old man, I would have spoken things at which people will have shuddered, and I will prove every word." When Uthman saw how the conversation between his cousin and wife was getting prolonged and becoming nastier, he stopped them and asked Marwan to tell him what he wanted. Marwan said, "What is it with you saying at the mosque what you said, and what repentance have you offered? In my view, sticking to the sin was 1,000 times better than such repentance, because no matter how great the sins might have been, they may multiply there, and there is always room for repentance still. But repentance by force is no repentance at all. You have said what you have, but now see the consequences of this open announcement. The crowds of people are now at your door. Now go forward and fulfill their demands." Uthman said, "Well, I have said what I have said. Now you must deal with these people. It is not in my power to deal with them. Consequently, finding out his implied consent, Marwan came out. Addressing the angry people, he spoke out thus: "Why have you assembled here? Did you intend to attack or to ransack? Remember, you cannot easily snatch away power from our hands. Take that idea out of your minds that you will subdue us. We are not to be subdued by anyone. Take away your black faces from here. May Allah disgrace and dishonor all of you." Just a side note here, it says, "Take away your black faces from here." He's not being racist. Sorry. In Arabic, it's like a saying, like, if your face is black, it just means you're kind of like in like a bad mood or a negative, you're having a negative outlook on life at that point in time. Okay. Continuing. When people noticed this changed attitude and altered government stance, they rose from there angrily and went straight to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, to whom they related their complaints. On hearing them, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was infuriated and immediately went to Uthman, to whom he said, "Good heavens, how badly you have behaved with the Muslims. You have forsaken faith for the sake of a faithless and characterless man," referring of course to Marwan ibn al-Hakam, "and have lost all wisdom. At least you should have some regard and consideration for your own word. What is this that at Marwan's beckoning you set off with your eyes folded? Remember this: he will throw you in such a dark well from which you will never be able to come out. You have become like a beast of burden for Marwan, so he can now ride on you as he pleases and put you on whatever wrong way he wishes. In the future I shall never intervene, nor shall I tell people anything. Now you should manage your affairs on your own." Saying all this, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam went home. When Na'aliya had her opportunity, she said to Uthman, "Did I not tell you to get rid of Marwan, or else he would put such a stain on you that it will not be removed despite all your efforts? Well, what is the good in following the words of one for whom people have no respect at all and is held as being lowly in their eyes? Come to agreeable terms with Ali. Otherwise, remember that restoring the disturbed state of affairs is neither within your power nor in that of Marwan." Uthman was impressed by this statement, so he sent a man after Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, but the Imam alayhi salam refused to meet with Uthman. There was now a siege around Uthman, but those who laid it were deterred from staging an assault. With what face could Uthman come out? There was no way out, even if he wanted to. Consequently, he managed to come out quietly in the darkness of the night. Reaching Amir al-Mu'mineen's residence, he moaned his helplessness and loneliness, offered excuses, and assured him of keeping promises now. But Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam said, "You make a promise in the Prophet's mosque standing before all the people, yet you fulfill it in this way. When people go to you, they are rebuked, and even abuses are hurled at them. When this is the state of your undertakings, which the world has seen, then how and on what grounds can I trust any word of yours in the future? Do not have any expectation from me now. I am not prepared to accept any responsibility on your behalf. The tracks are open before you. Adopt whichever way you like and tread whatever track you choose." After this talk, Uthman came back and began blaming Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, saying that all the disturbances were rising at his instance and that he was not doing anything despite being able to do everything. Now let us see the other side. Having crossed into Hijaz, Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr reached a place called Ayla on the coast of the Red Sea. People caught sight of a camel rider who was making his camel run so fast as though the enemy was chasing him. Those people had some misgivings about him. Therefore, they called him and inquired as to who he was. He said that he was the slave of Uthman. They inquired as to where he was bound. He said, "Egypt." Where he was going. That's where he was bound. He said, "Egypt." They inquired to whom he was going. He replied, "To the governor of Egypt." People said that the governor of Egypt was with them. To whom was he going then? He said that he was to go to Ibn Abu Sarh. People asked him if any letter was with him. He denied. They asked for what purpose he was going. He said that he did not know that. One of those people thought that his clothes should be searched. The search was made, but nothing was found on him. Kinana ibn Bashir at-Tujibi said, "See his water skin." People said, "Leave him. How can there be a letter in the water?" Kinana said, "You do not know what tricks these people play." Consequently, the water skin was opened and seen. There was a lead pipe in it, in which a letter was hidden. When it was opened and read, the caliph's order in it was the following: "When Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr had his party reach you, then from among them, when Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr and his party reach you, then from among them, kill so-and-so, arrest so-and-so, and put so-and-so in jail. But you must remain at your post." On reading this, all were stunned and began to look at one another in astonishment. As a Persian axiom says, mind was just burst in astonishment as to what wonder it was. As in, mind blown. Okay. Those who were proceeding forward were riding into the mouth of death. Consequently, they returned to Medina, taking the slave with them. Arriving there, they placed that letter before a number of companions of the Prophet ﷺ. Whoever heard this incident remained stunned with astonishment, and everyone was verbally abusing Uthman. Afterwards, a few companions went to Uthman along with these people and asked whose seal was there on the letter. He replied that it was his own. They inquired whose writing it was. He said it was his secretary's. They inquired whose slave that man was. Uthman replied that it was his. They inquired whose writing beast it was. He replied that it was that of the government. They inquired who had sent it. He said he had no knowledge of it. People then said, "Good heavens, everything is yours, but you do not know who sent it? If you are so helpless, you must leave this caliphate and get away from it so that such a man would come to administer the affairs of the Muslim." So that such a man would come to administer the affairs of the Muslims. He replied. So that they're kind of impressed by whoever it was that sent the slave without the knowledge of the caliph. They're like, okay, this dude's clever, whoever he is. Let's have him lead us. He replied, "It is not possible that I should put off the outfit of caliphate which Allah has put on me. Of course, I will offer repentance." People said, "Why should you speak of repentance, which has already been flouted on the day when Marwan was representing you on your door, and whatever was missing had been compensated by this letter? Now we are not going to be fooled into these bluffs. Leave the caliphate, and if our brethren stand in our way, we will hold them up. But if they prepare for fighting, we too will fight. Neither our hands are stiff, nor are our swords blunt. But if you regard all Muslims as being equal, if you uphold justice, hand over Marwan to us and let us inquire from him on whose strength and support he wanted to play with the precious lives of Muslims by writing this letter." But Uthman rejected this demand, refusing to hand over Marwan to them, whereupon people said that the letter had been written at his own behest. Improving conditions, however, again deteriorated, and they ought to have deteriorated because despite the lapse of the required time, everything was just as it had been, and there was not a jot of difference that had occurred. Consequently, the people who had stayed behind in the valley of Dakhushub, waiting for the result of the repentance, again advanced like a flood and spread over the streets of Medina, closing the borders from every side surrounding his mansion. During those days, when a companion of the Prophet ﷺ was besieged by the Muslims, Nayr ibn Iyad wanted to talk to Uthman. He went to his mansion. When he peeped through a door opening, he said, "O Uthman, for the sake of Allah, give up this caliphate and save the Muslims from this bloodshed." While he was thus conversing, one of Uthman's men killed him whereupon people were infuriated and shouted that Nayr's killer should be handed over to them. Uthman said it was not possible that he should hand over his own supporters to them. This stubbornness worked like a fan on fire. In the height of fury, people set fire to his mansion's gate and started advancing. When Marwan ibn al-Hakam, Sa'id ibn al-As and Al-Mughira ibn al-Akhnas, together with their contingents, pounced on the besiegers, killing and bloodshed started at the gate. People wanted to enter, but they were kept at bay. In the meantime, Amir ibn Hazm al-Asadi, whose house was adjacent to Uthman's mansion, opened his door and shouted for the assailants to advance from that side. Thus, through his house, the besiegers climbed on the roof of Uthman's mansion and descended down from there, drawing their swords. Only a few scuffles had taken place when all except the people of Uthman's mansion, his well-wishers, and Banu Umayyah ran away in the streets of Medina. A few men hid in the house of Habiba, daughter of Abu Sufyan, sister of Muawiyah. The rest were killed with Uthman, as the latter kept defending himself to the last. In order to verify the accuracy and authenticity of this account, the reader is referred to those well-known sources. Ibn Sa'd. Oh my God, I don't want to try and pronounce all these things, but I wonder if you can see them here. They're like these sources here. If you can see them. Anyways, yeah, for lack of time as well. Yeah, so that was the story. At his killings. Okay. After observing these events, the status of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam became clear. That is, he was neither supporting the group that was instigating Uthman's killing, nor could he be included among those who stood to support and defend him. Rather, when he saw that what was said was not acted on, he kept himself aloof. He disassociated himself from both of the groups. Okay, there's gonna be a part 3. All right, see you soon.